I planted these 25 plants, and by morning, every aphid, slug, and beetle was gone. No chemicals. Here's proof. If you're tired of pests eating your garden, don't go near chemical sprays. I'll show you what works better: nature's own defense system. Last spring, I nearly gave up gardening. My lettuce patch was crawling with aphids, and my tomato leaves looked like lace. I tried everything: soap sprays, vinegar, even store-bought repellents. Nothing worked. Then I learned something that changed everything: the secret of companion planting. Today, I'll show you 25 plants that team up to keep your garden pest-free naturally. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which plants repel the worst pests, which ones attract the right insects, and how to group them so your garden protects itself. And because I like to over-deliver, I've added 2 bonus plant combos most gardeners completely overlook, but they work like magic. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss next week's video. I'll be sharing the natural compost mix that doubled my harvest. All right, grab your gardening gloves. Let's go through these 25 pest-repelling companions, starting with herbs that smell amazing and fight bugs like tiny warriors. Let's start with some of my favorite pest-fighting herbs, the tiny warriors of every healthy garden. These aren't just flavor boosters for your kitchen. They're natural bodyguards for your plants. First is basil. I call basil the tomato's best friend. It doesn't just smell incredible, its strong aroma confuses aphids, mosquitoes, and whiteflies, making them stay far away. If you've ever seen holes in your tomato leaves or those sticky little green bugs on your stems, basil is your solution. I like to plant it right beside my tomatoes and peppers. You'll notice how the air smells fresher and your vegetables stay cleaner. The bonus? You get fresh leaves for your pasta or salads whenever you need them. Next is mint, and this one's a double-edged sword. Mint is fantastic for driving away ants, aphids, and cabbage moths, but it spreads like wildfire if you're not careful. I learned this the hard way. One season, it took over half my garden bed. Now I grow it only in pots and place those pots between cabbage, broccoli, and kale. The strong menthol scent works like a natural wall, keeping pests confused and away from your leafy greens. And as a little side treat, you can snip a few leaves for tea whenever you like. Then comes rosemary, the silent soldier of the herb patch. Its sharp pine-like scent keeps carrot flies, slugs, and beetles from feasting on your plants. It thrives in sunny spots and doesn't need much care, which makes it perfect for borders or raised beds. I often tuck a rosemary bush near my carrots or beans. It's like setting up a natural barrier that smells good and looks beautiful. You'll notice how fewer insects show up and your carrots come out healthier and stronger. So we've covered basil, mint, and rosemary, 3 herbs that don't just season your food, but protect your garden like loyal guards.
Next up, let's talk about lavender, the multitasker of the garden. Everyone knows it for its calming scent, but few realize how powerful it is at pest control. Lavender naturally repels moths, fleas, and whiteflies, while attracting pollinators like bees and butterflies. That balance is exactly what your garden needs. Fewer pests, more pollination. I like to plant lavender near roses and fruit trees because it keeps away aphids that usually love those plants. Plus, when the wind blows, your garden smells amazing. And here's a small tip: trim it lightly after flowering to keep it compact and blooming longer. Now, let's finish this section strong with chives. Don't underestimate these little onion-scented greens. They're one of the best companions for roses, carrots, and tomatoes. Chives release a mild sulfur compound that repels aphids, Japanese beetles, and even carrot flies. I plant a few clumps around my rose bushes, and it's like having invisible shields. The flowers are edible too, adding a mild onion flavor to salads. If you notice aphids clustering on your plants, snip a few chive leaves and crush them near the affected spots. The scent alone sends the bugs running. And here's my personal tip: don't plant them too deep. Chives love sunlight and grow best in clusters. So, to recap, lavender and chives don't just add beauty to your garden, they create an environment pests can't stand. Together with basil, mint, and rosemary, they form the first line of defense in your natural pest-fighting team. Now, your turn. Which of these herbs are already growing in your garden? Drop it in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious which one's winning the battle for you. All right, let's move on to our next group, the veggie bodyguards. These are the strong, earthy plants that protect your garden from underground invaders and sneaky leaf eaters. They don't just feed you, they stand guard for their neighbors too. Let's start with onions. Onions are one of the most underrated protectors in the garden. Their strong, sulfur-rich scent drives away carrot flies, aphids, and even cabbage worms. Whenever I plant onions beside my carrots or lettuce, I notice far fewer pest problems. It's like they form an invisible fence that bugs can't cross. The best part? They don't demand much, just full sun and well-drained soil. Here's a small tip: don't overcrowd them. Give each bulb a bit of breathing room so they can grow wide and strong while their scent spreads effectively through the garden. Next is garlic, and this one is a powerhouse. It's not just for flavoring your dishes, it's one of nature's most reliable pest repellents. Garlic produces compounds that repel aphids, spider mites, and Japanese beetles, some of the worst pests for vegetables. I like to tuck garlic bulbs near tomatoes, peppers, and roses. Not only does it keep the bad bugs away, but it also adds nutrients back into the soil once harvested. Here's a quick gardener's tip: plant garlic in late fall or early winter so it gets that cold period it loves. You'll be rewarded with stronger bulbs and a more pest-resistant garden come spring. And then we have carrots. Carrots may seem like quiet players, but they're clever companions. When you plant them next to onions, both plants help each other out. The carrot scent confuses onion flies, and the onion scent drives away carrot flies. Pure teamwork. It's one of nature's smartest partnerships. Plus, their roots grow at different depths, so they don't compete for space. Just make sure the soil is loose and well aerated for healthy root growth. I usually sprinkle a thin layer of compost before planting. It keeps the texture right and the nutrients balanced.
Next up in our lineup of veggie bodyguards are celery and radish. Two plants that might look delicate, but play tough roles in keeping your garden safe. Let's start with celery. It's more than just a crunchy snack. It's a fantastic companion for cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. Celery releases a light aroma that confuses and repels white cabbage moths and carrot flies, two of the most persistent pests you'll ever meet. When I first started companion planting, I tucked a few celery plants near my cabbages, and the difference was incredible. No more tiny green worms nibbling through the leaves. Celery prefers moist, rich soil, so I like to layer compost or mulch around it to lock in moisture. Just be careful with spacing. Give them room to breathe, because crowded celery tends to attract fungus. I often say, happy celery means fewer bugs, and it's true. When it's healthy, it naturally deters pests without any effort on your part. Now, let's talk about radish, one of the most underrated heroes in pest control. Radishes act like decoys, luring pests away from your more sensitive plants. Flea beetles, for example, love radishes, and that's a good thing. While they munch on the radish leaves, your lettuce, spinach, and kale stay untouched. I like to scatter radishes between rows of leafy greens or carrots. They grow quickly, so within a few weeks, you'll already see how effective they are at diverting pests. Here's my favorite trick. Once the radishes mature, harvest them and replant another batch right away. Keeping a constant rotation keeps the pests distracted and your garden balanced. When you combine onions, garlic, carrots, celery, and radish, you create a living defense system underground and above. Each one supports the others, from the roots to the leaves. They protect, attract beneficial insects, and improve the soil at the same time. You see that teamwork? Nature protects its own. Pair these veggies and your garden will thank you, not just with healthier plants, but with stronger harvests, season after season. Now let's move into one of the most colorful and powerful parts of companion planting: fragrant flowers that guard.
These beauties don't just make your garden look good, they act like silent bodyguards that protect your vegetables from pests while attracting bees and butterflies to keep everything thriving. Let's start with marigolds, the true frontliners in any pest-free garden. Marigolds are famous for a reason. Their roots release a natural chemical that repels nematodes, those tiny worms that attack your plant roots, while their scent keeps aphids, whiteflies, and beetles far away. I'll never forget one particular season when my tomato patch was covered with aphids. I planted a border of bright orange marigolds around them, and within a week, the difference was night and day. The aphids went straight for the marigolds and completely ignored the tomatoes. It was almost magical. Since then, I've made it a rule. Every tomato bed gets marigolds, no exceptions. Here's a small tip that's worth gold. Rotate your marigolds each season. Don't plant them in the exact same spot every year. Moving them around helps protect more areas of your garden and keeps the soil balanced. Now, let's talk about nasturtiums. These flowers are not just pretty, they're strategic. They act as what we call a trap crop, meaning they attract pests to themselves so your main crops stay safe. Aphids, whiteflies, and caterpillars love nasturtiums more than your veggies, and that's exactly what you want. I like to plant nasturtiums near cucumbers, beans, and cabbages. They lure pests away like a decoy, while adding a splash of color that brightens the garden.
And here's a fun fact. Nasturtium leaves and flowers are edible. They've got a mild, peppery taste that goes great in salads. So, while they're protecting your plants, they're also giving you something tasty in return. Just keep them trimmed because they can spread quickly if you don't guide their vines. Now meet petunias, another flower that's more powerful than it looks. Petunias repel tomato hornworms, aphids, and squash bugs, some of the toughest pests to control without chemicals. They're also brilliant pollinator magnets, which means more bees and butterflies visiting your garden. I love planting petunias near peppers, basil, and tomatoes. They blend beautifully with herbs and vegetables while keeping pests away. Petunias prefer full sunlight and regular watering, but don't overdo it. A little stress actually strengthens their pest resistance. And when you plant different colors together, pinks, purples, and whites, it gives your garden that welcoming look while still working hard behind the scenes. Next up, we have calendula, often called the pot marigold, but don't confuse it with regular marigolds. This one brings its own kind of magic. Calendula has a sticky resin on its stems and flowers that traps aphids and whiteflies before they can reach your vegetables. At the same time, its bright orange and yellow blooms attract beneficial insects like hoverflies and ladybugs, the natural pest controllers of any garden. I like to plant calendula near lettuces, spinach, and beans. It acts as both a decoy and a protector. When I first added calendula to my garden beds, I noticed fewer whiteflies within a week and the overall plant health improved. It also adds a lovely pop of color through the growing season. Here's a quick gardener's tip. Deadhead the old blooms regularly. It keeps the flowers coming back stronger, and the more blooms you have, the better your pest control. And finally, let's talk about geraniums, the unsung heroes of pest control. Geraniums might look gentle, but they're fierce defenders against cabbage worms, leafhoppers, and Japanese beetles. Their scent alone is enough to keep many pests away. But what's fascinating is how their sticky leaves can actually trap smaller insects. I often plant geraniums around my cabbage patch and sometimes near roses. The effect is almost immediate. Far fewer holes in the leaves and healthier growth overall. They thrive in sunny spots and don't ask for much care. Just make sure you water them at the base instead of over the leaves to prevent mold. And if you want to give your garden a polished look, mix geraniums with petunias or marigolds. The colors blend beautifully, and together they create a wall of scent that most pests can't stand. When you look at calendula and geraniums working alongside marigolds, nasturtiums, and petunias, you'll see nature's own teamwork in action. They bring life, color, and protection all at once. A perfect balance between beauty and defense. So, if you ever thought flowers were just decoration, think again. In the garden, they're your most loyal guards, working silently while making everything look stunning. Plant them smartly, and you'll enjoy a pest-free garden that's buzzing with life.
Now, let's step into the next group of pest-fighting heroes, the strong scented companions. These are the herbs that use their powerful aromas to confuse and drive away garden pests. It's one of nature's smartest tricks. When pests can't recognize the scent of their favorite plants, they get lost, wander off, and leave your vegetables alone. Let's start with sage, one of the most reliable defenders you can grow. Sage releases a sharp, earthy fragrance that repels carrot flies, cabbage moths, and even snails. I like to think of it as the wise old guardian of the herb patch. Low maintenance, but incredibly effective. Plant sage near carrots, cabbage, or broccoli, and you'll instantly notice fewer chew marks and fewer worms on your leaves. I usually grow sage along the edges of raised beds. It forms a natural scented barrier that pests avoid crossing. And here's a personal tip. Prune it gently after flowering. It keeps the plant compact and helps release more oils, which means stronger protection. Next on the list is thyme, small but mighty. Thyme works particularly well against cabbage worms, tomato hornworms, and whiteflies. The secret lies in its strong essential oils. These oils mask the smell of nearby vegetables, making it hard for pests to find their targets. I like to tuck thyme plants between tomato and cabbage rows. They fill in the gaps, cover the soil, and keep everything smelling fresh. The best part? Thyme thrives in poor soil and doesn't need much water. In fact, the drier it is, the stronger the scent and the more powerful the protection. Whenever I brush past it, that fresh aroma hits me, and I know my plants are well guarded.
Then we have oregano, another Mediterranean herb that's a superstar at confusing pests. Its strong scent repels aphids, beetles, and a variety of flying insects. Oregano grows fast and spreads easily, which makes it great for covering exposed soil around peppers, beans, and cucumbers. The dense growth helps block pests from reaching your plants while also preventing weeds. I like to grow oregano in terracotta pots along my garden borders. It's both practical and beautiful. And here's a trick I've learned. When oregano blooms, don't cut all the flowers. Leave a few. They attract hoverflies and lacewings, both of which feed on aphids. So not only does oregano defend your plants, it invites the right insects to help with the job. Now, let's move to something with a bright citrusy punch, lemongrass. If you've ever been bitten by mosquitoes while gardening, you'll appreciate this one. Lemongrass contains citronella, the same compound used in natural mosquito repellents. It also deters whiteflies and gnats, especially around herbs and vegetables that pests usually target. I like to plant lemongrass near patios or sitting areas. It keeps mosquitoes away while giving off that fresh lemon scent every time the wind blows. Just give it room to grow because it can get tall and bushy. And here's a little secret. Crush a few leaves in your hands when you're working outside. You'll smell great, and the bugs will stay far from you. Finally, we can't forget catnip. Yes, the plant your cat can't resist, but pests absolutely hate. Catnip contains nipetolactone, a natural compound that drives away aphids, ants, and even flea beetles. It's one of those plants that does double duty, pest control for you and pure joy for your pets. I like to plant catnip in one corner of the garden, away from delicate seedlings, because cats will roll in it and claim it as their own. And honestly, that's part of the fun. Your cat will guard it better than any scarecrow. If you've ever wanted a pest-free garden that smells incredible, this group is your answer. Sage, thyme, oregano, lemongrass, and catnip, together, they form a fragrant fortress that protects your plants naturally. Plant them along borders, in pots, or at the corners of your beds. Not only will they keep your garden safe, but they'll also turn it into a space that feels alive, fresh, and full of scent. These herbs prove that in gardening, sometimes the best defense is simply smelling too good to be attacked. Now we've reached our final group, the special defenders. These are the quiet heroes that don't just repel pests, they attract the right insects to help you win the battle naturally. Think of them as the friendly soldiers that bring balance to your garden. Let's start with borage, a plant that's as beautiful as it is useful. Borage is a magnet for bees, wasps, and ladybugs, all of which play a vital role in controlling pests. The star-shaped blue flowers draw pollinators in from every corner of the yard. At the same time, borage keeps tomato hornworms and cabbage worms away. It's one of my must-have plants near tomatoes, strawberries, and squash. I remember the first year I grew it, the difference was unbelievable. My tomatoes were cleaner, my strawberries looked perfect, and I barely saw any hornworms. And since borage self-seeds easily, it comes back year after year with little effort. Next is dill, the secret weapon against aphids, spider mites, and even caterpillars. Dill attracts hoverflies and lacewings, whose larvae feast on these harmful pests. You'll often see clouds of delicate insects buzzing above it, which is a good sign. That's your natural army at work. I usually plant dill alongside cucumbers and cabbage, and it always boosts their growth while keeping pests at bay. Just a quick note, plant dill a bit away from carrots because the two can sometimes compete. Otherwise, it's one of the easiest herbs to grow and gives your garden that fresh, grassy fragrance.
Then there's cilantro, also known as coriander. Apart from adding that distinct flavor to your dishes, cilantro is a real pest repeller. It drives away spider mites, aphids, and potato beetles, while inviting beneficial insects like parasitic wasps and tachinid flies, tiny predators that keep your garden clean. I like to sow cilantro in between rows of peppers or potatoes. It acts like a living pest control system. Just remember that it bolts quickly in the heat, so stagger your plantings every few weeks for a steady supply. Now, one of the more old-fashioned but powerful defenders, tansy. You don't see tansy in many modern gardens, but it deserves a comeback. Its fern-like leaves and golden yellow blooms are not only stunning, but loaded with natural oils that repel ants, flies, and moths. I plant tansy near compost bins and garden borders, and it keeps flying insects under control. However, here's my gardener's note. Tansy can spread fast, so give it space or plant it in a contained area. It's also toxic if eaten, so it's best kept as a companion rather than a culinary herb. And last but not least, parsley. Simple, humble, and quietly powerful. Beyond its kitchen use, parsley attracts hoverflies and parasitic wasps that feed on aphids and other soft-bodied pests. Its flowers are small but incredibly attractive to beneficial insects. I usually let a few parsley plants flower instead of harvesting them all. That's when they do their best work in pest control. You'll notice more bees and tiny pollinators floating around, and your nearby plants will show fewer pest issues. When you bring together borage, dill, cilantro, tansy, and parsley, you're not just filling your garden with fragrance and color. You're creating a complete ecosystem. The bad bugs stay away, the good ones stick around, and your plants thrive without chemicals or stress. So tell me, which combo do you want me to test next season? Basil and tomato or dill and cucumber? Drop it in the comments and I'll try it out. Who knows, your suggestion might be featured in my next garden experiment. This group of special defenders reminds us of one thing. Nature always provides the solution if we listen. Every flower, every herb, every leaf has a role to play. Together, they build a garden that protects, nourishes, and grows stronger every day. All right, we've reached the final stretch. And if you're still watching, that tells me one thing. You love your garden as much as I do. You've now met 25 powerful companions that work together to keep your plant safe, your soil healthy, and your space full of life. But before we wrap up, let me share a few quick reminders and bonus insights that can make all the difference in your results. First, don't plant everything too close together. Companion planting works best when each plant has enough room to breathe. When there's good airflow and sunlight, pests have a harder time settling in. I always leave at least a few inches between companion pairs. It's just enough space for each plant to thrive without fighting for nutrients. Second, remember to rotate your plant families each season. Moving your herbs and vegetables around keeps pests guessing and helps maintain soil balance. It's like changing the locks before the pests figure out where to get in.
And here's one that most people forget. Keep the soil rich and healthy. The stronger your soil, the stronger your plants, and the less likely pests will find a home there. I add compost every few months and water early in the morning so the leaves stay dry through the day. That alone can prevent more pest problems than any spray ever could. Now, let's do a quick recap before we close. We started with pest-fighting herbs: basil, mint, rosemary, lavender, and chives, the aromatic guards that protect through scent. Then we met our veggie bodyguards:
onion, garlic, carrot, celery, and radish, working together to shield roots and leaves. After that came the fragrant flower protectors, marigold, nasturtium, petunia, calendula, and geranium, turning color into defense. Next were the strong scented companions, sage, thyme, oregano, lemongrass, and catnip, building invisible walls of aroma. And finally, our special defenders, borage, dill, cilantro, tansy, and parsley, attracting the good insects while keeping the bad ones out. That's a full team of 25 plants that can transform your garden into a living ecosystem. No chemicals, no traps, just balance, scent, and nature working together. So here's my challenge for you. Pick 3 pairs from today's list and try them this season. Watch how your garden changes over the next few weeks. You'll see cleaner leaves, stronger stems, and far fewer pests buzzing around. And don't forget to tell me how it goes. I genuinely love hearing your garden stories. Maybe you'll find a new pairing that works even better. Basil with lettuce or lavender with beans. Drop your results in the comments, and I might feature your combo in a future video. And if you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. It tells YouTube you liked it and helps other gardeners discover natural ways to protect their plants. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Next week, I'll show you how to make a simple, natural compost booster that doubles your vegetable growth. No fertilizers, no fancy tools, just real organic power from your kitchen scraps. Remember, a pest-free garden doesn't come from fighting nature. It comes from working with it. Let your plants protect each other, keep your soil alive, and let the bugs find somewhere else to live. Thanks for spending this time in the garden with me. Until next time, keep your hands in the soil, your plants close, and your garden thriving. I'll see you in the next video.